the principle of cause and effect. And as usual, I'm going to start this podcast off with a quote. For every action, there is the opposite and equal reaction. That's Newton's third law of motion. Um, Basically, this principle is, as straightforward as it could be. For every action, there's an opposite and equal reaction. And I've said like these seven hermetic principles that we have been talking about here in the past couple of days, past couple of weeks. Um, they are principles that are already hidden in society. We just don't state them in the fashion that they're written in the book, The Kabbalion. We use other language like Newton's third law of motion in order to describe the principle. We might not be describing the principle, but just like Newton's third law of motion, these seven hermetic principles that we are going over are laws of the universe, as laws that we all operate by. It's laws that control the conditions and outcomes of our interaction with this world, and even with the spiritual world, and our mental world as well, because we operate on different planes. The physical is just what we see, but it is not all that exists. There's a spiritual world, and there's like your mental world, and all of that stuff is inside. That's internal, but it's just as important, and it's something that a lot of people don't give credence to. um Cause and effect, I've talked about uh when I gave those other formulas, that TFAR, thoughts lead to feelings, which lead to actions, which lead to results. And then the E plus R equals O formula, the events plus response equals your outcome. So that's all about cause and effect. If you really break it down to its basic form, it's about cause and effect. Like, something in your life causes a certain incident, causes a certain reaction within you, and that reaction leads to results that you get from that circumstance. So by knowing this principle and the other principles, we should be able to dictate the outcome of our lives and what happens within it. Um, if you know that every time something happens in your life, given a certain response, you achieve a certain outcome, then it would behoove you to change that response so that your outcome can become different. If every time something doesn't go your way, you get angry, and then the outcome is you do more damage to yourself or to the ones you love than is productive for the situation that you're in, then therein lies the lesson. We just need to go deep with ourselves and to really look at situations more than just on the surface. We need to dive several levels down and just try to really break the situation down. And if we have certain formulas like the T4 model and E plus R equals O, it helps us to do that. It's reminders. Just like I use the seven hermetic principles as reminders. So far, we've gone over correspondence, mentalism, vibration, polarity, and I believe this is the fifth one. We might have two more, or I might be off by one. Um, but these um, hermetic principles are just reminders to me. They're guides, they're compasses in my life that I use in order to focus my attention and my energy, because energy is neither created nor destroyed. It's just transferred from one form to another. So, whatever you give your energy to is what's going to manifest. It's just like the law of attraction. Whatever you give attention to, whatever you give your energy to, your focus, you vibrate that frequency. That's what you're going to attract in your life. So just like the law of attraction, we have the law of vibration, polarity. For every good there's bad, for every negative, there's positive, you know, for mentalism, controlling your thoughts, your vibration. We went over that in the law of attraction. It's all about knowing these little tips and tricks, you know, of how to maneuver through life. That's going to help us to be successful and become our higher selves. Because when you go through school, they just teach you basically, you know, do this, and this will happen. You know, it is a cause and effect, but I feel like it's a cause and effect in a negative form. Like it teaches you habits, but in some respects they're negative, and in some respects they're positive. Like if you study, you'll be prepared for the test, and then you'll get a good grade. So that's a positive cause and effect, because we do need to study. We do need to learn different subject matters. That's how we become better. That's how we grow. That's how we develop. And then you'll get a good grade. That's a reward in the end, which is a common stimulus used to motivate people. Scientists use them in experiments and stuff like that. It's all that pleasure pain complex we have going on. But my problem with the whole school system, and even like college, you know, is when you learn something, you don't learn it to retain. Well, most people, I'm not saying all people, because doctors and lawyers and engineers and people who are in those fields, you know, you psychologists, psychiatrists, you know, people like that. Most people, this has been my experience. This is what I've done personally. So I'm speaking from my perspective. But you learn something good enough to pass the test or to be fluent in it. And then after you pass that test or quiz or whatever, you do a brain dump. And then it's on to the next thing. So it's not really learning, because I feel that if you really truly learn something, then it will have changed you. You know, you will be better for have learning whatever that thing is. You know what I'm saying? Like when I read the Alchemist, the book The Alchemist, I was better after I read that book than when I was going into that book. It wasn't that it was just life changing, like a light bulb came on and, you know, it was life changing, but it just gave me a different perspective about life and the things I were going through at that time. Same thing with the Seven Hermetic Principles. When I read that book, it wasn't anything life changing or anything that was, you know, like, just like a light from the heavens came down and just that was it, you know. It was just a new perspective about life and how I'm going about it. You know, so now when I go through hardships or I go through trials, I don't so easily jump back into the routine that I have built up over the past 30 years. You know, I kind of step back, take a look at what I'm going through, take a look at what kind of principles may surround that incident, and then I try to make it work out for the best for me. Now, just because we have a positive mindset, we have positive vibrations, positive frequency, positive energy, that doesn't always mean that things are going to turn out positively. But the outlook that we have on the situation can make that situation a lesson for us or a positive experience. You know what I'm saying? Like getting fired from a job might not be a positive experience in and of itself, but there's a lesson within that. Maybe there's something you did wrong. Maybe the organization doesn't align with your thoughts. Maybe I don't know, it's not for you to be in that position. Maybe that position was just there for you to grow, but it wasn't there for you to become your fuller self. You know, because I believe everything happens for a reason. You know, nothing happens by chance. And the reason may be that you caused those circumstances to come about, or it's just the way of the universe aligning you with your destination, you know, or with your goal, you know. And sometimes we all get trapped in our comfort zone. And then when we get trapped in our comfort zone, we don't want to move. We have dreams, we have goals, we have a mission that we feel is on our life, we have drive and stuff like that. But we push it back until, later, or until another day, because we've built this comfort and we've gotten in this comfort zone, and we don't want to get out of it because it's too scary, you know? And I can't remember which motivational speaker I was listening to, because I listened to so many. I mean, I got like Les Brown, Jocko Willink, David Goggins, I mean, Tony Robbins, uh, Rob Dial. I mean, I listened to Greg Swanson. I mean, it just goes on, because I believe on being a student of all. Like, I don't think that no one person has the right way to go about things. I believe that it's all about perspectives. And sometimes my perspective aligns more with the person, this person over here than that person over here. Not saying they're not right. I'm just saying, the way they communicated the message wasn't making this point as much as, this person over here. But I was listening to this motivational speaker, and he was like, how do we step out of the cage and go into the wild? How do we step out of the cage and re-enter the wild, with the fear in the back of our mind? And he was just saying the only way to do it is just one step at a time. There's not going to be no right time, or no, I don't know, aha moment that's just going to come to you that's going to be like, this is the right time. Even though in some people's stories that I've heard, that is how it came about. They had this aha moment and it was like, I'm just done. And they just went out there, jumped out on faith, and they were able to make a success story out of their faith, which I believe does happen. I don't believe it's made up or anything. But for most people, the best way to get out of the cage and re-enter into the wild is one step at a time. A good friend of mine, he always used to tell me when I would get anxious, or when I would, lose focus, or be overwhelmed by a task, he would be like, how do you eat an elephant? I know it's a little bit crazy or a little bit out there, but he said, how do you eat an elephant? And it confused me, and I was like, what do you mean? Like, who eats elephants? And he was like, how do you eat an elephant? I didn't know, I was baffled at the time. And he said, one bite at a time. So cause and effect. You have a task, and it is a big task. So that causes you to become overwhelmed. And the effect of that negative energy, which is being overwhelmed, it causes you to rush. It causes you to be stressed out. It causes you to be unhappy. It causes you to neglect other aspects of your life. So realizing this, why don't we make that work for us for the better? So the overwhelming task should cause us to concentrate or be focused. Let's try to change the name of the energy. Not saying that you can't concentrate and be focused by being overwhelmed, but let's try to create that emotion before you become overwhelmed. So you have a big task ahead of you. Let's concentrate on how we can make it more efficient versus just being busy trying to complete the task. How can I make this task be more efficient? Which means that you break it down into chunks, which can cause you to have a healthy relationship with the task, meaning that you set aside for doing the task. When that time is over, you give attention to other parts of your life, so that you have a healthy balance. Instead of just focusing on the task, on your job, on the mission, and then just being overwhelmed by that and letting it consume your life. So I mean, that's another way that cause and effect applies. We don't really think about it that way, but really, any of these 7 hermetic principles, you can really make an argument for in any part of your life. Cause and effect, mentalism, vibration, your polarity, correspondence. I mean, it can all fit into different aspects of our life. And some of this stuff is even in the Bible. I'm not caught up on my Bible verses or my scriptures and stuff like that. But I remember when I was a little kid, I used to hear things, scriptures and stuff that my mom used to tell me that stuck with me that I memorized at the time. And now I'm starting to see those scriptures, being repeated in the different texts that I'm reading, like the Kabbalion and like the other books that I'm reading. So it's just about creating a library or a mental Rolodex. And in creating that mental Rolodex, it's something that you can go back and be like, oh, it's kind of like for all my people who play video games out there, you know, sometimes you'll go through the game flawlessly, but everybody who's ever played video games, you reach a certain level or a certain boss that is harder than the rest. It might take you 2, 3, 4 times to get past it. You might not be able to get past it without a cheat code. So you enter in this cheat code, it gives you unlimited lives or the most powerful weapon or whatever, But it enables you to beat that boss so that you can continue the game, right? And that's what all of these books and stuff are for. It's to create a mental, excuse me, is to create a mental Rolodex so that when you come up against hard times in life, walls or whatever, you now can go back in your head and say, you know, what was, what hermetic principle applies to this? You know, am I really vibrating towards what I want? The law of attraction, polarity. I'm having a bad day right now, but it can't be bad forever. It's going to swing back in my favor at some point in time, cause and effect. What am I doing to get this effect? Or even backwards, what is affecting me and causing me to feel this way? You can do it forwards and backwards. Um, and it's just we have to build that up, because if we're just going through life on a daily basis, all we do is wake up, go to work, you know, which is basically serving somebody else's mission. If you're not doing what you want, you're making somebody else's dream a reality. You're not making your reality your reality. Um, so we just need to step back out of like this routine that we've gotten ourselves in and build a different routine that serves us. Wake up early in the morning. That way you have more time than just rushing to get dressed and then go to work and then do work and then come home and then go to bed. Stay up a little bit later, wake up early, meditate, maybe read a little bit, listen to motivational podcasts, listen to some positive music, get the positive energies flowing. While you're driving to work, do the same in your car. Plug your phone up to your car, listen to a motivational speaker, listen to an ebook, um, positive music. When you get to work, focus on your work, be present. Don't let the outside, problems or issues that you're going through hinder your work day. And then when you're coming home, do the same, decompress, listen to some positive music, listen to, a motivational speaker. If you have time at work before you go home, you can try to meditate, maybe get yourself a quick, like 5 minute meditation in. Um, 10-minute meditation. You don't always have to meditate for like an hour, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. I'm not even up to that. That takes extreme focus, and I'm getting there, but I haven't gotten there yet. So I'm probably at like 15, 20 minutes right now. But I will say that meditation is an extremely useful tool. Ever since I have been meditating, it has definitely had a profound impact on my life. And I would encourage it greatly. But that's cause and effect, you know, because I meditate, the effect is I lead a more peaceful life. A lot doesn't get to me, I kind of put things in perspective. During meditation, I vibrate the frequency of what I want, to attract that towards me. Um, I control my mind. I put my mind through, training to calm all the noise and all the distractions and stuff that come with having a busy mind. You know, with polarity, if I'm going through a negative situation, I take that time to focus on the positive and know that the positive will come in my life or will come to me eventually. And, you know, even with the seven hermetic principles, we can say that is an example in and of itself of cause and effect. Because if you lead a positive, if you focus on these principles and apply them in your life on a daily basis or on a weekly basis or a monthly basis, because repetition is the key to anything. And basically, it comes down to discipline. Because if you apply these principles routinely, you know, it'll have no choice but to benefit you in a positive way. Like controlling your mind is one of the best things that you can do. You know, once you control your mind, you know, you can do anything because your body will break before your mind will or before your spirit will. So the principle of mentalism is a very powerful principle. And, you know, during meditation helps me to work out my mind in ways that I haven't previously done in the many years before I have come into this knowledge. So a simple cause and effect. If you want a different life, you know, you need to make different choices. You need to live outside of what you have been doing currently. You know, if what you're doing right now doesn't serve you and isn't moving you closer to your goals, then you need to break that down to cause and effect. You know, so I need to do what I need to do to get where I want to go. You know, do what you can with what you have where you're at. You know, if you can't make the money you want, you know, set yourself up and position yourself so that you can welcome that money into your life, and that when you get that money, you're smart with it. Like a lot of it going on money, since we're talking about it, you know, financial habits start with a little. You know, like when you're getting your monthly paycheck from your job or however you get income, you know, the habits that you have with little amounts of money or small amounts of money is the same habits that you'd have with big amounts of money, you know. So if you want to usher in wealth into your life, you have to practice the small habits, you know, right now. And same thing with being successful, you know, with the life that you have now, you have to practice the small habits in order to usher in the big reward or the success that you want. And then when you get to that success, you have to live accordingly. And it's not so much that the success changes you, is that you were always that person. You are now just in charge of a lot as opposed to a little, but you already have those habits instilled in you so that you were that person all along. You just now arrived at a different level. But because of your training, your preparation, and living your life accordingly, you are now able to be responsible for being at that level. And again, that's cause and effect. Because you live like you already have it or you want it, when you want it, you're going to be responsible with it. So that's all I got for you today. This is, I believe, 5 or 6 in my series in the Hermetic Principles. I hope it's as impactful in your life as it was in mine. And I hope you have a good day.